What is the improvement you notice in the kids when you introduce, first of all, to be an Apple school, to have all this make-up space and everything based on a company, a teaching method, and like Apple? What does it has changed in the kids?
I would say something. I think what it's done is it's not just changed what the kids are doing, but it's changing what the teachers are doing and how they're thinking about education. And as we're starting to try out different kinds of programs that are adaptive, that are gamified, it gives the students, it does personalize the education for the students. We're able to track their improvements, and also then we're starting the process of looking at, okay, if they're improving in this app, are we seeing the results in what they're doing in, let's say, their math exams or their IB exams? Are we seeing, how is this working to improve how the students are learning, and also how our teachers are teaching? When teachers, what you said about substitution, that's part of it. The adaptive technology is great, but what we also want to do is teach the teachers, you can't just plug and play. You know, you can't just give the kids a computer and say, okay, it's going to teach you today. The teachers have to be a very active part of what the education process is, which is looking at the data of how the child is, and then taking that and modifying what they're doing to teach in the classroom so that it's a really symbiotic relationship between what they're learning from the programs that they're working with and what the teacher is doing in the classroom. That's one type. The other type is the creative process. So what are the students then doing in terms of 3D printing? What kinds of, what you give the students is a problem to solve. Let's think of some of the things that some of the best practices that the teachers have done that you've encountered.
Well, that which is doing a robot, and it is giving some instructions to Siri, so the robot is going to move the chair for someone who is not able to walk.
What age
is that is very really good idea, because we are inside an IB program. We have all the IB from
the whole continuum.
Yeah, continuum. So they have challenge and they have problems to solve, and they will have all these different gadgets and technology to solve that problem. And not only with the gadget, they can find something else, but they have the process to do it. We have the design process to follow, and then they will decide, well, I wanted to do an app to do this, or I wanted to create a robot, or I wanted to do something with hands, but they are creative to do a solution. And then we follow all those solutions so they are able to see that the thinking it is happening, and that is when they are learning, when that is the moment when they are learning.
It's taking the classroom from the student being a consumer of fixed content to being a creator of new content.
And that's so, I loved what you said about it's being the same as like starting a business.
It is.
Because in this community, what's really powerful is that the community is already recognizing that we can no longer just prepare children to go to university, which is going to prepare them for a job. That doesn't work anymore in the same way. The students have to be very active and take the reins of their lives and really become the producers of their own lives, and taking them through this kind of design, because we don't know what it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah,
we don't even know what it's going to look like 2 years from now, let alone 10. And the only students who are going to be, or young people who are going to manage in this brave new world, are the ones who've learned how to adapt and design and produce and create and think and be able to solve problems. And I mean, it works perfectly for this community because we have this entrepreneurial program through the Vida community. And our kids are really involved through the CP program also, or that's the career preparation program of the IB. They're really, really getting involved in thinking through, how am I going to create a new business? How am I going to create a new opportunities? And it's what's absolutely necessary, and it ties completely into what we're doing in terms of IB program, and in terms of what the ISTA, the International Society for Technology Education, their design cycle is I don't know how we can educate children otherwise for what they're going to be using.
One of the examples that I use in the book, it's a simple example, but I think it gives the parents an idea. In California, in 4th grade, you take California history. And invariably, the project is to build a mission out of sugar cubes, okay? And if the student turns in anything other than sugar cubes, you know the parents built it. Unless it was in Minecraft. In that case, it would probably be the student, okay? And so, rather than doing that, what I recommend in the book is you issue a challenge. You are William Randolph Hearst. Well, who's William Randolph Hearst? That's the first thing you have to go discover. You discover that he was the owner of the...
You go into safari and look for it.
You go and you find out that he owned the newspaper. And, you know, you learn a lot about him. But one of the things you learn about him is that he built a castle in San Simeon. And in that castle, he brought artifacts and everything from all over the world. But what he did on weekends is he invited the Hollywood elite for dinner. And he had a long, narrow table. And so your challenge is, you're going to throw a dinner party for all those individuals who made the biggest impact on California history. Who would you invite?
All right.
And who would you sit next to each other?
You have something to do here in the community now,
I
like that.
guarantee you the kids will learn more about California history. They'll learn that there's presidios, and they'll learn, you know, so much more than simply the assignment build, a sugar cube.
And tell me something, what's the difference and what is the honor between having Apple instruments, computers, cell phones in a school, having a program, and to be a distinguished Apple school? Because I know that not every school that has an Apple computer there, it's a distinguished.
It means you've made the transformation of using technology as a substitution. In other words, instead of reading the book to get content, maybe I just use this device to go to the internet and get content. It means you've made the transition from substitution to transformation. Now, you were using technology in the way that Steve Jobs envisioned technology. Because when Steve recruited me way back in 1978, he told me, he said, you know, John, I read this article in Scientific American where they measured the efficiency of motion from man and animal. And man was a disappointing bottom of the list. But somebody had the foresight to run that test again, with this time man riding a bicycle, which amplified their physical ability. So he saw technology, that we have the ability to create technology that would amplify our intellectual abilities. Not to take us where we've already been, but to explore, to create. And that vision, I think, is still present in Apple. So we're looking at technology to change the pedagogy in the classroom, to take advantage of the talent that the kids have. Our kids have more talent than the traditional schools will allow them to attain.
And for the school, what does it mean to be an Apple distinguished school? Not everybody. I know that there are, I don't know, how many are there in Mexico? I think
17.
Only 17 schools in all Mexico. It looks like...
The way we are approaching and using the technology, and also we have to follow all the rubric that Apple gave us, and we fill out all the different levels that they are asking us to be distinguished. And the school is following all that, and we like to do it because we are following the standards that are telling us that we are in the correct way. And
they have to demonstrate.
Yes.
You know.
What did you see in Atit school here today and everything? What do you think about Atit school?
Well,
just to finish, and don't say good things just because you have the teacher and the
principal. I measure a school by the faces of the children. Looking at the children, looking at the excitement, looking at the engagement, looking at the friendships.
I hope you measure them how they dance, because they danced today excellent.
Well, that needs to be part of the school as well. So, but this is not my first time here, so it's always rewarding to. I have a soft heart for children. You know, I mean, and I just believe that every student is uniquely gifted. I raised 4 children and 16 grandchildren, and no two are the same. My daughter is a fashion designer. She uses technology now in creating in creating her designs. I have one son who has his own graphics company, another son who has an architectural firm. He dropped out of high school.
All right.
And yet he went to Savannah School of Art and Design, and they gave him a scholarship.
Don't say it too much because we need kids to finish high school. We want.
No, they'll finish high school. The real question is, will they finish the traditional colleges?
All right.
Right,
Because
they need to catch up.
they have to decide what business they're in. Are they in the business of research or in the business of teaching?
Thank you. We could be speaking hours about education, about the future, about questions that parents have if they have to study a career in university to go to college. But we have to leave you today and congratulate the school for such an honor you got from Apple.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.